Warp space and real space stand separated by a barrier. It is home to many terrifying entities known as demons, and when the veil between the two realms weakens, these monsters can push through and devastate entire worlds. We call these demonic incursions. The warp is a place where time does not flow as it does in real space. For a person to travel there, they will feel as if they spent mere minutes, but in reality, they spent centuries there. The Imperium of Man uses it to travel through space faster than real space would even allow. While in the warp, they are exposed and under threat of the entities that dwell within. So they always travel with a special shield known as a Geller field activated. However, on a planet within real space, there is no Geller field to protect its population once the barrier between the realms weakens, or even breaks open. When this happens, it allows demons to push through to torment and destroy the world they invaded. Demons are beings created from the very essence of the god that created them. They are all raw emotions given form and purpose, driven by those emotions. Each of the 4 Chaos Gods have their own demons that serve them and perform tasks for them that range from the more powerful greater demons to the more lesser beasts. Demonic incursions can occur for a number of reasons. It could be that a cult spent time performing rituals to open a gateway to the warp. Perhaps a population performed enough indulgence in excess and pleasure that slowly opened a rift. A battlefield covered in carnage and so much blood and hatred between armies attracted the eye of the blood god and allowed his minions to manifest. Or a psyker that had just discovered their abilities and became a doorway for one of the 4 gods. Imagine witnessing a psyker manifesting their power and suddenly their body begins to burst open, and then from the very gutted corpse, horrific monsters start climbing from them. Then as more begin to infest and make their way through, other small gates open to allow more through. The demons begin to slaughter and kill every living thing within their sight. Their number keeps growing no matter how many are killed. Then larger, more sinister ones show up, and before anyone knew it, the whole planet is overrun and is now home for them, and all those that lived there are either dead or became subjugated by them. Often there is no way to end these incursions without the use of exterminatus. Though there are so many incursions that have occurred that one cannot even count them, let us look at least 2 to get a better understanding how and what happens when they occur. Malor. This feudal world lay deep within the Segmentum Obscurus, and was a mining world mostly. These mines are dotted all over the mountain ranges of the planet, and the average populace was mostly ignorant of most modern technology and medicine, and only focused on their strong belief in the light of the Emperor. Modern technology and medicine was only reserved for the higher nobles of the planet, the rich and powerful. While they lived their lavish lives and enjoyed the privileges only awarded to the wealthy, the underlings or serfs lived miserable, short lives. They only knew pain and suffering and bitter resentment for those above them. Over time, their resentment grew so long they began to deny the benefits of technology and relied on faith alone to guide and protect them. Then came the rash outbreak of wretchpox, an easily treatable disease that could have been stopped quickly. When the barons sent in the Medicae to respond and treat and help save the lives of the people, they resisted treatment and pushed them away. Rumors began to spread throughout on how the treatment was a betrayal to the faith of the Emperor, as he was the only one that could protect the people. The priests and preachers began to push the populace to pray and self-flagellate themselves to stop the spread of the disease. The church was not going to give up their power so easily. This caused massive mobs to start attacking the medics sent to render aid and resulted in casualties upon both sides of the conflict. During all this, the disease continued to spread and claim more and more victims, and then a chorus of pleas for salvation and a savior to come forth and deliver them from the plight echoed within the warp. The priest Frater Kalaman, who had staved off the disease and recovered without any treatment whatsoever. He saw this as a sign that he was the chosen one by the Emperor to deliver the planet from the disease. Word was spread far and wide for all to make pilgrimage to the Agri Plains, where he would perform a rite of cleansing. There was no need for the heretic healers and their medicine. Only the faith of the God Emperor would save them. As many made their way to the pilgrimage, many would continue to further spread the disease. No matter how much the Medicae warned them and tried to aid them, they only continued and ignored them and their warnings. As the days of Kalaman's ritual grew closer, the planetary governor called on the Astra Militarum to be dispatched in aid in ending the spread of the plague and this sort of uprising. All this did was make the priest speed up his ritual, as he had to hurry before all he worked to do was ended and everyone killed. Kalaman began his sermon, and as he hit 7 verses and 7 lines into his preachings, he began to convulse and keel over in pain and anguish. He then exploded into a putrid spray of diseased fluids, and then emerging from the very remains of the priest stood a great unclean one of Nurgle named Zorthrax. The monster raised his hands, and with a chuckle, he spoke the 7-word-long blessing of the Plague Father, and what followed was a grotesque scene of gore and disease. Many began to flee, but the blessing only accelerated the effects of the wretchpox, and the disease blossomed and devoured them all, turning them into nothing more than liquefied ooze. When the Astra Militarum arrived, they did not find the mass of people plagued by this disease. Instead, they found what now looked like a lake of putrid, bubbling liquid, that when the fumes of it reached their noses caused even the most veteran of the army to cough and choke. It was said the scene resembled a giant bubbling cauldron. Then stepping forward to greet the resistance, Thrax came shambling out of the slop of slime with an army of demons of Nurgle in tow. The army fought as hard as it could. Not only many died, but many tried to flee the nightmare. Rains of diseased water came from the skies, and clouds of flies made it difficult to fight. As they fought, they would slowly give in to plagues and disease that spread through their ranks. Aid was requested, and response was met by the Salamander's Space Marines and the Grey Knights. They arrived and fought desperately to make sure the planet would be the only planet to suffer Thrax's plagues. Persephone. The planet Persephone had a problem with Drukhari raiders. These Xenos would come and torment the populace, and take with them captured people for their own sadistic uses in their realm of Komorra, to continue the task of staving off She Who Thirsts' hunger for Eldari souls. The raids became such a problem that they were answered by a detachment of Ultramarines led by Captain Alrus. Though the population felt a large sense of humiliation of not being able to fully defend themselves from the raids without the aid of the Emperor's angels, they also felt a sense of veneration that led to a desire to be ready and better trained for the next fight that comes along. The Halls of Excellence was established, and all 6 clans of the planet's people began to show admiration to the Ultramarines. The people trained hard and worked to perfect and become the best soldiers the Imperium could produce, and they would all adorn the colors of the Marines, blue and gold. The war clerics of the halls would only accept nothing short of pure perfection. This led to the creation of a new martial art called the 6 Circles. The training became so severe and heavy that not all could survive it. To meet the demands of the training, others began using drugs and surgical augmentations secretly behind closed doors. This all resulted in further churning out better and even stronger soldiers for the Imperium. There were whispers that began circulating among other guard regiments of a strange and secret religion that was brewing among the Persephone people's planet. This caught the attention of Inquisitor Rudran Luke to launch a covert investigation on the planet. Then came the distress messages sent from the planet's astropaths, ravings of civil wars and monsters attacking and killing the population. In an odd twist of fate, the same Captain Aris was dispatched to lead a strike force to aid the rescue of the planet. The Inquisitor accompanied the captain, and when they made orbit, they discovered just how dark things had become for the populace. The clans were all at war with each other, and the war clerics had turned to the worship of dark powers to achieve victory, which further led to the breaking of reality and allowing the minions of Slaanesh to pour forward and take hold. No longer were the 6 war clerics ruling their clans, but now each was ruled over by a keeper of secrets, the greater demons of Slaanesh, and the clerics became nothing more than their subjugated devotees. Each keeper ruled over different areas of the planet, each dedicated to the depravities of one of the 6 circles of Slaanesh's realm, commanding their own legions of demons. The very physical features of the planet warped and disfigured and corrupted versions of what it used to be. Rivers became rivers of blood and wine, stone and metal became flesh, marble walls turned to show tormented faces screaming in agony, writhing within. Odd perfumed fog banks rolling across the land that when inhaled would drive mortals into a madness of pleasure and agony, along with many other nightmarish alterations. When planetfall was made, Horus's army was overwhelmed, and the Inquisitor had one last option but to request the aid of the Ordo Malleus and their Grey Knights. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and make a comment and tell me how I was doing. Subscribe for more future videos about the universe that is Warhammer, and let me know as well if you want to hear the other 2 Incursions of the Chaos Gods from the Daemons 9th Edition Codex. Until then, this is the Lord Nurgle. Stay jolly.